Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. One car brand in China has been absolutely bossing it in 2022. That brand is, of course, BYD. So today we're going to be looking at their flagship sedan, all-electric, dual-motor Han EV. Let's check it out. So as I said before the montage, in 2022, BYD have been absolutely smashing it. Back in March, they surprised everybody by announcing that they were going fully electrified, so only hybrids and electric cars. Since then, their sales numbers have been absolutely astronomical. They're now selling over 200,000 new energy vehicles every single month, almost 2 million in this year, and they've become the #1 best-selling car brand of any kind in China this year, surpassing Volkswagen. They've also embarked on rapid expansion around the world. They're entering Japan, they're in Australia, and they're entering Europe as well. So while the Seal is the BYD that's stealing all the headlines currently, it's cars like this one, the Han EV, that have been doing all the heavy lifting for BYD in 2022. As such, this one has, let's say, their former look. So it has this silver strip across the front here, which is known as the dragon's face. But I still think it looks pretty sharp. It's had a refresh this year, so it's got some new lights at the back. We'll look at those in a second, but it's still quite crisp. Crisp lines here, quite swollen haunches on the front. It's a bit more conventional down the side. As you can see along there, it's a lot more, well, a lot more straight lines, let's say, not quite as swoopy as the Seal. But it comes with these big 19-inch alloys. You've got pop-out door handles, you can see there, the fin along the back corner. And it feels quite wide actually inside. It feels quite wide to look at, but it's only 1.9 meters wide, so nothing particularly outstanding there. Yeah, let's have a look at the back of it. Coming towards the rear, you see the Han's got quite a sporty rear end actually, starting with these interesting sort of fake fins here on the C-pillar. You've also got quite swollen arches along the back, big shoulders on the boot. You've also got very funky Chinese knot style LED lamps. You can't see them now, but I'll put a clip over the top so you can see how good they look. They're an update for 2022. It is quite wide. It is definitely muscular. It's got a fastback style rear, but it is only a sedan. So if I open the boot there, electric boot, got 410 litres of space in here. One problem, you can't fold down the rear seats. So that's going to be a point against it in the practicality column when it comes to Europe. Get a little bit of extra space under the bottom, but not too much there. Big DIN audio bass unit on the back there. But I do still think it's quite attractive. It is nice. You get your build your dreams along the back here, and you've got a little BYD feature here, 3.9S. That means 3.9 seconds. That's the 0 to 60 time, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of this car. So it is pretty damn rapid. Right, so inside, the Han is pretty much the flagship sedan of the BYD range, and it feels like it inside. It does feel pretty premium. We've got a few extra boxes ticked in ours, so we've got the real wood, open pore wood here and across the doors as well. We've also got the real Napa leather on the chairs, so these are lovely and comfortable and soft on these Dragon luxury chairs, I believe they're called, that come with this quilted pattern inside. The only downside I would say is this colour, because I mean this chocolatey brown is probably not my favourite. I'd probably go for a lighter colour, but hey ho, choices. In the middle we've got BYD's standard 15.6 inch screen. That comes with the party trick that you can rotate it landscape and portrait. Not sure why you'd want it in portrait, but you know, the option's there. It's pretty quick actually, runs pretty fast. You've got apps in there for your videos and WeChat and TikTok and weather. You've even got a little camera up here. You can use karaoke. It's got it all in there. The only downside is it's not as visible as it maybe could be in bright sunlight, but that's the only real criticism that I've got. As well as that screen, you've also got another one here where you can get your maps on there as well as your driving information, very Audi-like. So that's quite cool. And we also get a heads-up display on this as well, which is probably somewhere between 8 and 10 inches, so that's big enough as well, gives you more sat-nav instructions. That's standard. What isn't standard is the heated steering wheel. This is optional. You also get optional heating and ventilation in the rear seats. So we've actually got that box ticked on this car. You do get heating and ventilation on the front seats, no massage option. As well as that, you get a 12-speaker DIN audio sound system and electrically adjustable steering, so reach and rake adjustable with a toggle down here, which is nice because it's not on the system, which is a bit of a pain sometimes. So you also get twin cup holders, USB-C and USB ports, and a little space for a phone down there. You've got a bit of physical switch gear here, so you can change the mode of your car with this toggle, this one, not 100% certain what it does. You get a wireless charger here, which is just under your armrest, and a little tiny glove box in there with a couple of extra USB ports as well. With it being on BYD's e-platform 2.0, which is made for hybrids as well as electric cars, you don't get the space under the dashboard that you do get on some other electric cars, but that's kind of a small price to pay, really. It is quite luxurious up front. Well, yeah, it is very luxurious, but there are some cheaper plastics down at the bottom, but nothing really you can complain about too much. Let's check out the back. In the back, well, we've got, I don't know, plenty of space. Less space for my feet, I would say, but plenty of knee space, reasonable head space. I'm pretty close to the roof there. The one feeling I would say is that it does feel a bit more claustrophobic, a bit darker. Now, it's not a bright day outside anyway, but the sunroof is definitely not as large as it is on some other models, and this brown interior does make it feel a bit darker today. But overall, space-wise, it's not bad. You get a very raked rear chair. You'll see how laid back I am. We've also got the option where you can move it forwards and backwards, so you can be a bit more upright if you want to. As well as that, you get 3-zone climate control, so you can control that down there. There's also a 220-volt plug down there as well. But you can also control it through this. So this is a very meaty armrest. You get twin cup holders in the back of the headrest, quite neat. And on here, you can control your multimedia and your ventilation functions. So ventilation, audio, ambient lighting, heated and ventilated seats, and the sun blind as well, and some of the settings on the car. And if you need a bit of extra space, you've got some there. These seats, as I said, they don't fold flat, but you do get a hatch in the middle here for some longer objects if you really need to. Overall, I'd say fairly spacious, not in every dimension, but yeah, a little bit darker, I would say, than maybe some back seats in this area. Out on the road, the Han is honestly about as accomplished and as refined as you would expect of a flagship sedan. It handles all the bumps, soaks them up really well. Steering feel is actually quite good as well, quite heavy. You can adjust it, but I honestly couldn't tell the difference between the two. But it's quiet, it's refined, and it's all that you would need, I think, in the city. And it's a decent size, actually. So this car comes in at just under 5 meters, which places it directly between the ET7 and the Xpeng P7. P7 is about 4.9 meters, the ET7 is 5.1 meters, so it's right in the middle of the two. It does have a shorter wheelbase. It's based on the e-platform 2.0, so that car isn't capable of such short overhangs like you'll get on the 3.0 platform, which is a pure electric platform that sits under the seal. So that means it's actually got the exact same wheelbase as the BYD seal, at 2.92 meters, but it's about 20 centimeters longer than the seal. Weirdly, they're actually directly competing on price. So they're both running at 300,000 RMB, or about $42,000, which is interesting. They're kind of eating each other's lunch a little bit in that respect. I'm not sure what the thinking is behind that, but yeah, those prices actually change a lot when you get to Europe. So there are 3 versions here in China, 2 single motor versions. One starts at 280,000 RMB, about $40,000. The flagship single motor version and the dual motor version are both 300,000 RMB, about $42,000. In Europe, you will only get the dual motor version, but that price rises from $42,300 to $70,000, about 72,000 euros. It's a lot of money for an electric car in Europe. Puts it directly up against the Neo ET7 dual motor version and the Mercedes-Benz EQE, which also starts at about the same price, and it's significantly more than the P7, which is about $52,000 to $53,000 for their dual motor version. So yeah, interesting price positioning. The ace up BYD sleeve probably comes from the availability, because that's what's done so well for them this year. They've sold loads of cars because they can get them to customers. Other companies just can't. So maybe they're banking on that a little bit. But yeah, it is in an interesting price point. It does come with the dual motor version, as I said, same as the ET7. The ET7, you've got to pay an extra 12,000 euros or dollars if you want to pay for the battery and own the battery. So they obviously have their battery as a service option, so you'll pay considerably more if you want to pay for the battery yourself. The EQE starts at about $70,000, and that starts at the single motor version, and I believe it has probably a little bit less range as well, but I can't guarantee that. Yeah, in terms of power, right, the single motor version is front wheel drive, whereas the single motor BYD Seal is rear wheel drive. So go figure. The single motor is 180 kilowatts, 241 horsepower, 350 newton meters on the front axle. The dual motor adds a 200 kilowatt, 268 horsepower, 350 newton meter motor on the back. In total, that's 510 horsepower, 700 newton meters of torque. And honestly, it's probably way more than you'll ever need. No, it is way more than you'll ever need. It feels very skittish. So even at low speeds, at a little bit of acceleration, you'll instantly feel the wheels scrabbling for a little bit of grip. And especially if you turn on power, you'll feel the inside wheels starting to rotate a little bit faster. So it doesn't feel quite as planted, I would say, but it's more than enough. In the city, you could probably use half of that, honestly, and it would be enough. It'll get you from 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, as I mentioned earlier. The single motor version will do that in 7.9 seconds, so not nearly as fast. In terms of the battery, you get one option, 85.4 kilowatt hour battery. That will get you, on the single motor versions, 715 kilometers, about 444 miles on the CLTC cycle. On the dual motor version, it'll get you 610 kilometers, or about 386 miles, I believe. And that's more than enough. In Europe, they don't use CLTC, they use WLTP, and those figures go down to about 560 kilometers, or about 323 miles, something like that, which again is more than enough. This car comes with the BYD Blade battery, and that has been proven to keep its range quite well, actually, especially in cold conditions, more so than some other batteries. So it does have that going for it. But yeah, in terms of handling, it's I wouldn't say sporty, other than the speed, but if you're looking for a chilled out, lazy, not so lazy, but if you're looking for a chilled out, lazy saloon, you could do much worse than this car, actually. So the question you've got is it a $70,000 car? That's the question you have to ask yourself if you are interested in buying one of these in Europe, and I'll leave that up to you. I'm not in charge of your wallet. But it does come pretty well kitted out. As I said, you get heated and ventilated front seats, no massage option. You get 12 speaker surround sound. In terms of autonomous driving, it only comes with level 2. It's not BYD's forte, really. They haven't focused so much on the autonomous driving, but it will do lane keeping assist. It'll do adaptive cruise control. It's got all the basics that you'd really want in there, so no major issues on that front. Also, in terms of charging, it will do 30 to 80% in about 25 to 30 minutes. So yeah, not rapid, but fast enough, I would say. You're not going to really need much more than that. So yeah, overall, pretty solid package, actually. Not, doesn't get your heart racing, apart from the acceleration, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe you'd say it's the sensible choice if you're looking for a car that isn't too outlandishly designed, still looks conventional in terms of its appearance, has absolutely oodles of power, and is well built enough, is reliable, is no worries or no concerns, then you could do a lot worse than the BYD hand, to be honest. Okay, that's all we've got time for today. In summary, is the Han a car I would buy with my heart? Probably not. It's a little bit conventional for that. But would I buy it with my head? Yeah, I think I would. I think I would for 3 reasons. One, it's available. Really easy to get hold of one of these. Not so easy to get hold of a lot of other electric cars. Price-wise, here in China, it's very, very well priced and very well spec'd as well. And it's got great range. And if you need a 4th reason, it does 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. So what's not to like about that? It does have some flaws. It is on the older tech, you know. It will get replaced, I think, probably by the Seal or a new improved Han over time. But it's a good car. It is a good car. If you find one in Europe or Japan or Australia, let us know. Tell us what you think about it in the comments. And yeah, thanks for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you next time.